So I'm about to kind of make my first fire in an urban woodland. I'm just in my little zone, my spot where I want to make the fire, and this is just to make a pot of coffee. I've been visited here on this hawthorn by a nice little group of tits, all flying around looking for their bugs. So you know, when you get out into nature, you just enjoy your life a lot better and observe the world around you, the real world, you know, not the glass buildings and cars and stuff like that. Get to enjoy wilderness. So I'll be setting up the firebox over here, getting everything out, getting everything started. I did prepare some tinder and some kindling as well, just because I didn't know where exactly I was going to have the fire, and the place that I was planning on doing the fire before I decided to come here first is it's quite a new woodland. It's quite young, so and it's man managed, it's man planted, so I can't remember if there was a lot of dead wood in there, so I just brought some stuff along anyway. A lot of it's pine from when I was trying to get some fat wood, so some of it might actually, you can see in there is some resin. Then there's shavings and stuff, some old feather stick which had been put into a fire, so some of it is burned off a bit already. Yeah, then I got my, so anyway, let's just quickly discuss the my trip to the Bushcraft store in North London. So I got a few things there. I brought some of them today. One is the top that I'm wearing. I'm going to show that later maybe. The main one is the Pathfinder Canteen set. So this whole set is like £54. It's decent price. The only thing I don't like about it is the stand to cook with. I actually could have done without getting that. The main two things I was interested in is the canteen itself. I didn't even know it came with this bag. I was interested in mainly a canteen with the mess tin that usually comes with these style of like NATO kind of style 1 liter or whatever canteens. So that's the tin that I was interested in. But the main thing was I needed a tin which also has a lid, because I really want to do bread baking. Okay, so holding one hand to the camera, there we go. So you got your typical mess container with the folding handle that you can slide on and hook in place. They have put measurements in there for you, so you have like 700 ml and in ounces as well. That I don't really care about. I'd prefer not to have printing inside the container which I'll be cooking in. This is the stove that they've provided. I kind of feel like I don't need this, but I guess it's always a good thing to have a second cooking apparatus. So that's my firebox. It's not the brand firebox. It's a Chinese brand called Lixada, and I used it last week and it works pretty good. I mean, I didn't use it to make anything, but we're going to test that today. I guess it's always good to have two fires, but for me the purpose of a stove is to kind of keep the fire off the ground. So this is going to be burning kind of down there. I'm not going to use this today though, or maybe I will later, but I'm going to be using my Lixada stove to cook that boiled water in there so I can make my coffee. The Pathfinder water flask is pretty good. I still need to find out, because the information I read didn't on the container, they don't really give you an information paper really, booklet or anything. So I don't know if you can boil water and put boiling water in here. It does seem that you can, judge basing on what the inside of the top of the lid looks like. It's got like a metal bit with the rubber in the side, so I need to find out. It's got a especially wide mouth so that you can get water from low streams or low water puddles. It was designed for that, so we'll find out. I filled it up with water only just to get used to the weight of walking around with a heavy water bottle amongst all the other things that you have. One of the other things that I have with me now is my pair of gloves. I do some minor tree surgery work for extra money on the side, and I took down 2 cypress trees, and only because I didn't have my my work gloves that day, they were hanging on my laundry line at home, I had to use these. And I can kind of give them a thumbs up in the beginning, because the amount of work that I had to do, I had to dig around the roots, I had to pull the roots of the tree out as well. I had to dig with my hands, so I was like getting in there. Although this wasn't really rough soil with stones and things, it was actually a very fluffy soil that's common at the base of coniferous trees. It's kind of like a humus kind of layer, sort of like that. I still did come across building rubble, and obviously some right-handed. And this one wasn't worn out pretty much at all. That's just like marks, and I felt that the material was responding and working pretty well. There was a point when I was working in that garden that I managed to get a thorn. It was either from a barren bramble or a rose. It managed to come through, I think, somewhere here. That was a little bit annoying, like on day one. So it's hard to say, but they're really, really comfortable, and I'd recommend them. The only thing I don't like about this is just all the labeling. I mean, it's really unnecessary, you know. Put that one there, you don't have to have it going all the way down here. I mean, it's the thing about American brands is just, you know, they want writing all over the entire thing. It's like, yeah. Anyway, I like it. I went for the one that was 19 pounds, and they didn't have my size, so this one is 24 pounds, so it's the level up. Pretty okay with that. Okay, so I got the fire going. Took a bit longer this time than it did last time. I started off using my Mora. I did last week do some grinding on the back of the Mora to see if I can turn it into a knife that can work as a steel to strike the ferro rod. I did actually do that. I don't know if you can see it. So I did it to about here, all the way across. In sometimes it really does strike it really, really well. I've got a couple bigger pieces left to throw on. These are pine, and they actually do have a bit of resin in them. So from that point I'll go to bits of hawthorn. Quite a lot of dead wood in here, but it's semi-damp. Okay, so water's boiling. I kind of like just fire kind of died out, embers were there, lots of wood was nice and orange, just the flames went down. So I had a little bit of a mission there to get it all going up again, and then obviously that created a lot of smoke. So ideally, don't let that happen. Cool, so I'll get the coffee going. I had to move over to this side because the wind was coming from there for a little while. Now it's fine. Coming through here, blowing all the smoke and the heat in my face. That's a nice little site here. Definitely, like this space over here is pretty good for Lavu tent, the Polish palatka, which is, I'm still waiting for it to arrive. I've ordered it not from some website, but I've ordered it through a friend who's going to be bringing it from Poland, or organizing it from Poland. So that's cool. Can't wait till that comes. I'll really be happy when that thing arrives. I do have certain gear that I still need to get, but the good thing is it's nothing that's really important. Like, the main thing was cooking gear after I got this guy. You know, hard to say right now what I need to get still, but I'm not going to be doing, I don't know if I'll do an overnighter where I'll cook something. I might actually do that. I mean, that was the point of getting the stove, I guess. So I've got the stove, got this container, this canteen. I still need to find out whether I can boil water in here, if that's fine, because I'm a little bit worried about the lid. That, I'm really happy with that. That's obviously for cooking, boiling water and baking. It's just a case of trying to figure out how to keep the lid on while trying to bake some bread in there. Anyway, check out the video. I don't know which video it is, but Log Shige, L-O-G space S-H-I-G-E. He cooks such an array of things. He's from Japan, does bushcraft in Japan. Very nice videos. Doesn't speak in the videos, doesn't really show his face. It's just really cool. Cooks things like big prawns and things like that on site. It's quite, I understand that Asians like their food. I know that for a fact, because I have Asian family, and yeah, so I'll get that going. That's really, he was the one who kind of inspired me to make bread on site. Just, yeah, you can cook bread, do it pretty well. What he does is he puts baking sheet paper inside the tin, which is a really good idea. I think that's probably the best thing you can do. Just find a way to be able to keep the lid on. And also, I don't think he's using Pathfinder, so I think his tin is a little bit bigger than mine. I used to have something similar to this when I was a kid, but I had the NATO standard issue one, and I'm sure it was a lot larger than these guys. So it's a little bit of a disappointing thing when I got to the shop and found out that that's the size of it. But anyway, that's fine. That's how it is. So letting that guy die down a bit. Gonna make my brew now. So that's just pre-mixed coffee and sugar. I'm not a big fan of what some friends of mine term real coffee. In other words, something made in a coffee shop, or you making it with some special straining equipment. I'm okay with it. Just I don't drink coffee for the kick. I drink it for the flavor and the taste. So also, I like fair trade. I like to support the farmers themselves and not the large corporations. So this coffee is not made by some big massive brand super corporation. It's just made by some small company that all its products are fair trade. Yeah, I'll take all of it. I'll let it sit for a little while, because I don't like to drink super hot stuff. If I need to, I still have the water in there. Cool it down a bit. And what else can I do today? May have to head home soon. It's already like 10 minutes to 9. Let's let this guy die down. Maybe do a little bit of exploring. Maybe I'll pick some hawthorns. I'm looking to make something with them this year. I've been meaning for the last 2-3 years to make stuff with hawthorn berries, and basically failed. So there's a decent amount this year, but I mean, obviously in the past I didn't actually explore these parts of this park. So now I know the in-betweener areas, which is pretty cool. So overall, pretty good kit. This guy did warp a little bit the first time I used it, but it's not enough to say don't buy one of these. So you know, that's Lixada, and it surprised me when it arrived. It was a lot bigger than I thought. I mean, obviously on the website, or wherever you buy it from, they have the specifications, so they put the size of the height, the width, everything. And you know, I mean, I know centimeters, and it was measured in centimeters, but you only know when it's right in front of you, or unless you make a little scale model or something of it. So and the thickness of the steel was a lot thicker than I thought, because I know this is like a Chinese make, and it was really good. It's a lot thicker than I thought, a lot stronger. I've not used it yet with an alcohol burner, things like that. That it does come with that. That's inside the pouch over here, the little holder for the alcohol burner, which slides into this part. So it did warp, but not enough to say, okay, this is a piece of crap, don't buy it. So, you know, I mean, to me, you wouldn't be a bushcrafter if that little bit of warping that this stove gets causes you to feel like it's not worth it. I mean, part of bushcrafting is about getting away from the pleasantries and everything going your way of modern life in suburbia, to going out and experiencing difficulties trying to get a fire started, like I did this morning. I had this guy open, I forgot to put the lid on, and there was when the fire died, I blew it a bit to stop it from dying, and all the ash went up and went into the coffee. So it's like, you experience these things, and that's what bushcrafting is about. Yeah, so it warped a little bit. The only problem that I find with it is that when you fold the four corners together, and you need to get, obviously, the hinge there clipped into each other to put the pin down, it's a little bit harder, but that's it, just a little bit harder, nothing more, nothing less. So for like £12 plus delivery for your first ever, you know, stick camping stove cooker burner thing, I think it's a pretty damn good deal. I'm not willing to really spend £54, which is like the firebox, the main firebox that people use. There's one up there, I forgot what these are called, thrushes. There's a thrush. They've been trying to come underneath the foliage here with me, but then they discover me in here and they fly away. A couple robins. Okay, so I've taken the stove down. There's a little bit of warping. I don't know if it's any more than last week's warping. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the camera down, and then we can just see how many seconds it kind of takes for me to put it back together, because now the stove itself has had 2 fires made in it. I know that that's not exactly a great judgment of how well it lasts and how high quality it is, but it's had an equivalent of about an hour and a half's worth of fire going on in it, and I've already made myself a brew. That was the longest one, obviously. So I'm just going to reassemble it and see where I'm having trouble with any warping. I just tried to clip the hinges together now, and it actually clipped better this time around than the last time I had a fire. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, everything there is fine. You fold it back together, it's kind of like alright. So lay it down like that. First one, second one, clip in. Now I got, okay, there's the pin. There we go, done. No problems whatsoever with the stove. Again, don't see why any reason to not recommend this to anyone. There was one, I think it's this one, this side over here that's warped. Like, I mean, it's not much, it looks more to me than it does look on the camera, than you can see it on the camera, but honestly, nothing wrong with the stove whatsoever. So yeah, actually, big recommendation from me to get the stove. So regarding the Pathfinder Canteen kit, I think it is a pretty good piece of kit, really. So inside here now is obviously the 700 milliliter, is it 700 milliliter? I don't know, I can't remember now. I think it's a 1 liter flask. The 700 milliliter is the cooking canteen. So everything's in here. So the mess tin canteen thing, plus the little stand, kind of like stove thing to make a fire, to raise the raising stove to actually cook something on, as well as the lid for the canteen. So why I bought the set was because obviously I did need a water holder, I did need cooking equipment, but big emphasis for me was to have a means to be able to not only cook but at the same time bake bread. So okay, let's look at the actual container, the bag. So you got two pockets on the side. I had my open nail knife in here earlier, but I'm trying not to carry too many knives because I am in an urban environment, and in this country knife law is a bit crazy. So I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I'd be at a police station having to explain why I'm carrying a knife in public. So anyway, it's a pretty sturdy bag, two pockets, put what you want in there, and you got this clip over here. The back has these straps. I know they have a special name for them, I'm not really interested in what they're called, but these come off as well. So you got those metal buttons. That is stitched in the middle, so you got those, that, and that to weave something through there, I guess, if you want. Got these elastic ties on the side, the kind of things you find on jackets and things and sleeping bags. So I'm doing this with one hand, I don't have a tripod. This container, they've designed it to have a very wide open mouth so you can get water out of low rivers and low streams, which is obviously a survival trait. Pretty good canteen. It's obviously a stainless steel. I'm going to take everything out of here, but here's the lid for this guy, and underneath this guy, clipped in, is the little stand. It's about this high. It's got a little hole in it, kind of like an entrance opening, and that is used to, it's the same shape as this, so it fits in the bottom of that, and that's so you can cook with this. Feed sticks into the underneath of that. That's not part of the kit that I'm very worried about. If the kit didn't have that, I probably would have still bought the kit, only if it was a little bit cheaper. But on the other hand, it is a good idea to still have another type of cooking apparatus, fire making apparatus. So the idea with that is that while you're busy, you have your firebox. I have the Lixada firebox, the small one. Actually the larger one, the small one is really small. They got a micro one which is just like really stupid in size. I think that's really just for making a cup of coffee or something, or cooking a tin of soup or whatever. Anyway, so pretty good kit. It was like £54.95 I think. I am a Bushman. 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 You need to understand. You from the African continent. Just how the black Americans not know how truly is your brother man. Had they dehumanized and taken your name, had they fed you this wine and fed